Thank you, Diana. And I just wanted to welcome my guests, Charlene and Dave at the back there. Thank you for coming. And also I see my son, Jack Stanley, is in the Zoom. Oh, he's gone. Okay. Let's move this. Oh, this is the Blue Mosque in Istanbul. I had the privilege of going to Istanbul in the spring because I wanted to experience an Islamic culture and learn more also about Greek and Roman history. But when I walked into the Blue Mosque, you can change to the next slide.
Can I just check? You've got a first paragraph.
Oh, I didn't want to read that one.
Sorry.
No. That was my... Okay. It's very hard to photograph the Blue Mosque because it's really huge. I was stunned by how beautiful it was. It's airy, spacious, blue, and it seemed to lead me directly to a heavenly vision, and I thought, maybe I should become a Muslim too, but I thought I was actually running out of time on all my religions, so. But the idea, that's better. Wow, that's the Blue Mosque. I thought it was the most beautiful place I've ever been. Isn't it nice? So then what came into my mind was the idea of sacred spaces, sanctuary, inspiration, love. And as we will see in my talk, from the beginning of human life, we've been creating these sacred spaces, approaches to the divine, and to our highest aspiration of being alive, portals to deep refuge and meaning. So a sacred space is a sanctuary, a refuge, a place of serenity and suffering, an example of the human striving for meaning, bringing us into the possibility of transformation, connection to the divine, and even connection to realms beyond the material world. And sacred spaces can include temples, mosques, churches, groves, burial sites, and, as I'll show, the sites we create for ourselves, such as our artworks, our gardens, and the places where we feel most ourselves. Just a story to show how old this idea is. In early Greek mythology, Artemis, the huntress, cavorted with her female followers in a sacred grove with a pond. When Actaeon spied on her, she changed him into a stag who was torn to pieces by his hounds. So sacred spaces need to be approached. You have to be careful sometimes with respect and reverence. So there is another kind of sacred space that I hope to hear about from someone in the forum that is magical or transcendent from the material world. I haven't had those experiences, but I imagine other people have, so we'll talk about those. The power of forces from another world. Okay, next slide. Okay, another view of the Blue Mosque. A little bit of detail about the Blue Mosque. It's officially called Sultan Ahmed Kamiai. That's the name. It was built between 1609 and 1617 amid controversy due to its cost and problems in the economy of the time. And it was built to shore up the prestige of the Ottoman Empire, aiming for size, majesty, and splendor. So it was a project built to show power, wealth, and to be impressive. Yet, I think it also represents a divine experience. Just a note about the Ottoman Empire, it controlled much of Southeast Europe, West Asia, and North Africa from the 14th to the early 20th century. It superseded the Byzantine Empire, created by the Emperor Constantine, who outlawed paganism to bring in Christianity, which was then replaced by Islam. So it's a lot of history in that area. The mosque, next slide. Oh yeah, there we go. Okay, the mosque is decorated by thousands of blue Iznik tiles, chandeliers, stained glass windows, domes, and outside 6 minarets, a type of tower. And there is a call to prayer 5 times a day, which I really loved. It has a spectacular feel of light and color. And I had a response, not Turkish, not Islamic. I had a response to the pure beauty of the place. So we have a religious feeling in relation to a place that is supposed to represent wealth and power. Interesting. So it has been used for over 400 years as a place of continuous worship, an experience of beauty, faith, and the benefit of coming together in a gorgeous space to relate to the community, love, and togetherness. And I wanted to prostrate myself in that space as an homage to the human struggle of being alive and having this advantage of being in the gorgeous divine light of the Blue Mosque. So here's an interesting slide. I've also been to many beautiful cathedrals, and here's an image from St. Bavo's Cathedral in Haarlem, Netherlands. This sculpture shows a man gnawing at the cathedral pillars from an excess of piety. Imagine being a Western European in the 14th century, living on a small farm, beset by killing plague, convinced by the church that demons could rise up at any time, then going into a huge, gorgeous cathedral filled with color and light, the Disneyland of its day, a place of entertainment, mystery, and wonder. So the cathedral reflects community interests, and St. Bavo's has many sculptures of dogs, as well as a special chapel devoted to disciplining unruly dogs. And I have never seen this in any cathedral anywhere else in Europe. But I really like this guy gnawing away out of piety. What an interesting experience. So then we go back in time. We have always, as humans, created sacred spaces. And the experience of passing from a monkey-like hominid to what can be considered a human being is the creation of burial sites. And recently, a burial site dated to 250,000 to 300,000 years ago of a people called the Naledi was found in dark caves far underground. Think about lives without electricity, without buildings, without cars, without roads, going down into caves, lit by torches, to lay the dead respectfully with a personal artifact like a stone tool. So the ability to recognize and commemorate experiences like death is one of the main indicators that this is a human being. Here are hands. Hands are early artworks that signify I am here. And these cave hands are dated as early as 7300 BC. So as well as the struggle for survival, humans do creative work. By 7,300 years ago, Paleolithic peoples were spreading, living as hunter-gatherers in a world with huge animals. These hands represent rituals performed by women. And this cave art is some of the most important art in the New World. Now, Yuval Noah Harari says that hunter-gatherers had an easier life than we do. They only had to hunt and gather, and of course we have to understand cell phones. But I really love the cave paintings. They represent three basic categories: people, the animals they ate, and the human hand. And I always like to think about what it would be like to be surrounded by these animals, and to have breakfast you have to kill a woolly mammoth with a pointed stick. Here is a modern artwork. We are still creating art. This is called Love Begets Love by artists Gabriella Odo-Wichuk and Marie Metaphor Specht, recently the Poet Laureate of Victoria. This gorgeous digital art changes color with voices. And I was at a presentation there, and it turned from purple to orange to blue. It was incredible. And I was going to say you can see it at the James Bay Library. but they have just taken it down, which I think is so terrible. So the sacred sense of expression is located in our ongoing desire to create a beautiful work of art. Here is one of the most magical places on the planet, created around 3100 BC when prehistoric people dragged stones weighing several tons for hundreds of kilometers. Why did they do that? It's also a burial site. And I won't say too much. I encourage you to visit the exhibit at the Royal BC Museum to learn more about this significant achievement and what it might mean. They have a fantastic display at the museum about Stonehenge. So from the beginning of time, we've had spaces to commemorate and celebrate community, survival, the individual, and something considered to be the divine. So our own sacred spaces, we create sacred spaces too. The individual in this space is validated without judgment. There is a sense of awe, respect, and reverence when entering the space, using rituals that make the move from normal to a more transcendent experience. Formal entry, and be careful not to enter the sacred spaces that are not for you, as Actaeon did. Joseph Campbell says, "You are welcome, you are safe. It is the place where you find yourself again and again." And I'm sure you all have had that experience. Oh, this is one of my sacred spaces, the Gorge Waterway in Banfield Park. I feel connected to nature here, to the living waters where we all came from. I swim in the gorge with other people like me who greatly appreciate the chance to experience water, plants, and animals. And I even went on Monday, which was very cold. There is a suspension of normal activities and the need to pay close attention, like where are the tides? And there's also a seal, like how close do I want to be to that seal? It's physically beneficial, a great blessing in a life where physicality will eventually be taken away from us. This is a picture of Georgia in her garden, which honors her family history of market gardening on the banks of the Red River in Winnipeg, where she is creating life, creating food. There is great respect here for the soil, the watering, the planting, and I watered her garden for a week and she was very specific on how to do it properly. And here is, finally, the most sacred space of all, our own bodies. Here's Theo, the Buddha, happy in his new fat body, about to embark on the adventure of being alive. I just think baby Theo is amazing. Anyway, in conclusion, I encourage us to consider and discuss our own sacred spaces, that it could include music, our homes, our creations, our ancestors. For 3 billion years, human-like creatures and humans have been reaching for inspiration, sanctuary, and the sacred. Let us go forth in wonder. Thank you.